Hey, Don Williams here with today's episode of the Proven Entrepreneur Show. I've got a great guest, a real LinkedIn expert, Al Kushner. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. So tell us a little bit about what you do in helping people maximize their experience with LinkedIn.
Well, I help by optimizing their profile and work on strategies for outreach so they can make quality connections and become a dominant force on the platform.
Love that. And so how many people are in LinkedIn today?
Last tablet, I think probably over 900 million, but maybe that's being conservative.
Unbelievable. I've been on LinkedIn forever. And I can remember about 5 or 6 years ago, I had some friends that were very active on LinkedIn, and they came to me and they said, "Hey, you just don't do enough." And I had about 1,000 connections, and so today I'm about 28,000, I think. And the first 10,000 was pretty slow. The next 10,000 was faster, and this last 10,000, because you can only have 30,000 frontline connections. First line is I'm really, really, really picky at this point because I just have limited slots.
You have a lot of followers, though? I mean, do you have?
Uh, I don't know. I can't. Yes, but I can't tell you the number off the top of my head.
Okay, because you can have a limited amount of followers, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, Mark Cuban has 30,000 first line connections, but probably 5 million followers. And you can have as many followers. I think. Can you have as many followers
Yep,
as you can get?
as many as you.
Okay. There you go. So I'm not too proud to ask the expert because I know a lot, but I don't know everything. Okay. So Al, tell me, what did you do before you were an entrepreneur?
Well, I was always an entrepreneur since I was 21. I got started in the industry working in insurance, if you believe that. I was started as a telephone solicitor. I was actually hired by an agent to help make outbound phone calls back in the day when it was only using rotary dial. No, not that back. But when things were different then, no cell phones, no internet. It was just about calling and reaching people. And I had a knack for it. I got hired by several agents to make calls for them because they're afraid to get on the phone. And then I decided, hey, I'll just become an agent, because I'm good at this stuff. That's kind of got me started on the way, which was really exciting.
I love that. I think, it's really hard to for somebody to start out, with a call center application more, business to consumer in the States. Almost everybody's on do not call, business to business. So many numbers, are ring to an automated attendant. You don't get to speak to anybody. And so that really changes it. But, my oldest business, my 38-year business, I'm in the contact center business. And I think some of the best training for human relations was to be on the phone and talk to 50 people a day and figure out how to talk to people today, how to talk to people and how to anticipate and how to act. So love that. All right. What led you in to LinkedIn expertise? What took you there?
Well, when I think LinkedIn started about 2003, I believe, it was something I jumped on the bandwagon at that time. And it was something that I really enjoyed because it was kind of a platform that was for, serious people. I mean, it was business consumer, and the way people acted on the platform, very professional. And this is what I wanted to be part of. And surely it came about and eventually was bought up by Microsoft and really it took off from there. So I was very fortunate to be one of the pioneers in the beginning of LinkedIn. So it was really exciting.
Yeah, that was fortunate to get in on the ground floor and kind of ride the elevator up. Okay, so tell me this. What's a single most unexpected or even maybe painful moment in your entrepreneurial journey that turned out to be a huge advantage later?
Writing my first book, I would say. That was really a challenge. It was back in the day. It was probably over 10 or 15 years ago when they didn't have what it is nowadays, where you can print books by one per book. I had to buy several of these books. And this was really challenging to not only distribution, but from editing, and the whole process was really cumbersome. But it's something that I pushed through because I know that once I do it, then I'll basically become a thought leader. And that's really what excited me about being part of the publishing industry, because I thought it was only for the big players out there, but little people can be independent and do that. And I proved them wrong. And now this is my newest book, The AI LinkedIn Advantage, is like my 10th book out there. So I was really excited, and so much easier nowadays to do things, printing books. But back in the day, boy, that was a real challenge. So glad I got my licks in at that time. So much easier to produce books later.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things one of my companies does is we help people write books. I don't really believe in AI, in using AI to write a book. I think you ought to get thoughts out of your head and heart onto paper. But I'm getting ready to start my 10th. And so when I talk about my first book, I always talk about it as my first and worst book. And it's generated a lot of business, but it was brutally hard. It was like my brain had a baby. It was messy. It was painful. I wanted an epidural. They wouldn't give me one. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to do this again. And like I said, I'm getting ready to start my 10th. And so if you've done 10, kudos. That's quite an accomplishment. And what I tell my clients is this: the root word of authority is author. And so if you want to be viewed as an authority, if you want to have instant credibility, write a book and do your best to write a good book.
And if you want to go beyond that, become an award-winning author, which I did in my last book.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you want to be an award-winning author, you want to be a best-selling author, and then you want to get on stages, because nothing generates leads better than speaking. Okay, most entrepreneurs believe they're not going to be able to do anything with LinkedIn. Okay, it's just like Facebook, it's just like Twitter, it's just like TikTok. So that's a myth. How do you help people get past that mental block of it's just another social media platform?
Easy. That's where your competition is. So if you don't do it, your competition will. And guess what? You don't have a choice. And that's how I show people that if it's not for you, that's fine. Because not for everyone. Nobody likes. Some people don't like social media. And that's okay. But those who do and embrace it benefit from it and exceed and dominate their industry as a result of it.
Yeah. And I get clients that feel the same way. And I'm like, today you can be your own media channel, and you can put out content that would have cost you millions of dollars 20 years ago. And so if you're in business, I really don't know how you don't take advantage of that. It's not free. It'll cost you some money. You'll spend some time in production, and you probably get some teammates to help you. But it's pennies on the dollar for what it used to be to do radio, television, Yellow Page newspaper, all that jazz. Okay, let's talk about the dark side. Entrepreneurship to the non-entrepreneur, and a lot of our viewers are people that are just becoming entrepreneurs. It looks really glamorous sometimes from the outside. What's the hardest part that you think nobody talks about? And then how do you deal with that part?
It's very simple. The fact is, the hardest part is that you wear many hats as an entrepreneur. And whether you're a marketer or you're a content creator, you have to understand that if you don't delegate, you will die, simply put. And you can't do it all by yourself. Even producing a book is teamwork. And people don't think of that, and it's incredible. And same thing as an entrepreneur. If you don't have your team together, then you're not going to succeed. So that's really the thing to do. You have to allow yourself to delegate at least some of the mundane things and focus on your strengths. And that's really the way to succeed.
Yeah, I love that. I think everybody has zones of incompetence, things they don't do well at all, zones of competence, things they do okay, a zone of excellence, things they do pretty darn good, but also a zone of magnificence, something they do that's almost magical. It's where their superpower is. And I think the best entrepreneurs delegate everything in incompetence, and everything in excellence. And they spend their time, effort, and energy in their zone of magnificence. And the scary thing about playing in that zone is you could fail, and you could be a magnificent fireball and it not go right. But that's where the good stuff is out of your comfort zone in the area where you can absolutely be the best. tell me, do you see a future trend for LinkedIn that the average guy, that somebody like me doesn't see yet?
Future trend? LinkedIn is growing in leaps and bounds. So the fact is that the platform is growing exponentially. I think they have over 900 million or close to a billion users. I mean, come on,
Man,
it's awesome. And Microsoft is behind it. So, they're always going to be on the cutting edge of what's happening in the industry. So it's really the place to be if you're a business to business. It's really the only platform I've seen that has shown growth in the years that I've been with them.
yeah, I agree. If you're B2B or B2G, I just don't know how I don't know how you ignore LinkedIn. You just have to play. So tell me this, what's a decent strategy if somebody was just getting on LinkedIn or just going to start being active on LinkedIn? Because out of that 900 million, there's a lot of people that are just kind of sitting on the sidelines. How many times a week should they post? Should they do articles? Should they do videos? Share a little owl wisdom with us.
Very simple. Before you do any outreach, before you do any postings, work on your profile. Simply put, if you don't optimize your profile, all your outreach is going to go nowhere. And people just want to jump the gun and just get started and do these postings, whatever. Profile needs to be optimized. You need to have a current headshot, hopefully in the past 3 to 6 months. You need to have a back billboard that represents who you are. You need to have information about yourself that is relevant to whoever you're going to connect with. And this is essential. People seem to ignore that, and they sometimes don't have any profile at all, and they do an outreach, and they wonder why they're not getting anything. So that's for starters.
I think that's great counsel. It's very similar to what people do with a web page. They put out a website, kind of like they're hanging their shingle, like in the old days on Main Street. Then they wonder why it doesn't work, and it's like, well, it's like a billboard that nobody's seeing, and so at least on LinkedIn will tell you every week or so how many people are viewing your profile and give you feedback as to how well you're doing. Okay, let's talk about legacy. 50 years from now, what's one thing you hope people will remember Al Kushner?
Well, my books, of course, will live on because that's what's great about that is my legacy right there. So hopefully the information that I provide will give value to whoever will be reading at the time. I mean, look at Ben Franklin. I mean, his autobiography was 200 years ago, and still people referring to that, in terms of his genius and how he created all these unique things. He's amazing, and so I'm hoping that my legacy will live on in the books that I write.
Yeah, love that. And so, that's also the thing about social media is a piece of content really never goes away. And, it's evergreen and will pay dividends years down the road. So I think you have an offer for our listeners today, Al. Would you share that?
Yeah, sure. If they go to my website, it's at linkedvantage.com/audit. They can find a LinkedIn profile optimization checklist that they can get for free. And what's great about it, I don't need your email to get it. So even better. So you don't have to be on any email list. No, you can go directly and get it and start using and applying toward your profile is what I talked about. It'll help you optimize your profile, make you stand out, and give you the ability to go to the next level when you do outreach to be considered, someone who is trustworthy.
I love that. Share that address again
It's
to where everybody catches it.
linkedvantage.com and it's forward
Okay.
slash audit.
linkedvantage.com/audit. Okay, awesome. And Al's a super nice guy. He doesn't require your email address, so you can just go download this tool, read the audit, and look at your profile and improve your profile today. And then if someone wanted to reach out to you, Al, and potentially engage to work with you with LinkedIn, how would they reach out to you?
Same thing, might go to my website, linkedvantage.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm there and happy to connect with anyone who wants to work with me. And my book is available, so the AI LinkedIn Advantage. So go ahead and check it out.
Good.
QR code over there if anyone wants to go ahead and scan in. You can find it available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's also available in audiobook format, Spotify and Audible. So check it out.
Awesome. Check it out. Al, thank you so much for joining me today on the Proven Entrepreneur Show.
Thank you, Don, and appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time on the Proven Entrepreneur Show. Have a great day. Bye.